John Cole with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I want to share with you guys some of my thoughts, especially after looking at a lot of the science, eating a raw vegan diet now for 29 years, as well as growing gardens for over 20 years and actually researching gardening, plants, and all these things that I like to do. Right? There is, in my personal opinion, some misinformation going out in the raw vegan community, especially the fruitarian community, my personal opinion, as well as just generally online, right? And so in some fruitarian circles or high fruit diet circles, it is believed, in my opinion, that they say fruit is the best food on the entire planet. We don't need anything else other than fruit. And we should avoid fruit that have toxins because fruit's non-toxic, all this kind of stuff. And they will elevate fruit to such a level to basically try to get people to eat exclusively only fruit. And I personally believe that this is not a good thing to do. I've met very few people, if any, that have been able to, like, in my opinion, thrive on 100% fruit diet. And the people that do generally grow their own fruits and pick them as ripe as possible. And, you know, we're not going to talk about commercially grown produce, even organic or conventional, in this episode. But what I really wanted to dispel in this episode is the concept of that you could get everything you need from fruit, and especially when there are raw food influencers out there that say, for example, juice soursop because it's an anti-cancer fruit juice. Number one, I'm going to say I am not for juicing fruits, right? This is no secret. Links down below to some of my videos that I've discussed. You know, my personal opinion is that we should not juice fruits. We should juice primarily leafy green vegetables and other vegetables that you would not be eating in large quantity. Vegetables, especially leafy greens, can be more difficult to digest than fruits, and we should just eat the fruits whole because they are so easy to digest. There's no reason to juice them. And if you do want to get them into a juice-like format or drink, and then I would recommend vacuum blending, where you are still retaining the fiber, although you are disturbing it from the original format that it came in. Nonetheless, there are people out there claiming that soursop juice can cure cancer and it's an anti-cancer juice and all these things. And you know, I've looked up the studies, guys. I've looked up so many studies over the many years, and I really just want to share some of this with you because I stand against misinformation, right? And people think, oh, I'm drinking this anti-cancer juice or this soursop that unfortunately most people can't even afford, find, or buy. And when you do find soursop, if you're in the continental United States, except for maybe being in Florida, if you know somebody that's growing it, you're getting it imported, it's turned black, it's got cold damage, and when you juice it or even just eat it, it's going to be nasty unless, of course, you pay a company like Miami Fruit to ship you guys fresh soursop. That's going to be of high quality, but then it's going to cost you guys a lot of money. That being said, even then, if you're just juicing or eating soursop, my personal belief, and I'll share with you guys the science, is that you are not getting all the benefits of the plant, all the anti-cancer fighting ability. And this is the exact reason why I encourage you guys to, yes, eat your fruits, but also make sure to eat your vegetables, and more importantly, other parts of plants, including roots, shoots, stems, and leaves, right? I'm sitting here in my garden. I have a whole nice wall of water spinach behind me, also called ong choy, and edible flowers behind me as well, and eggplants behind the plant, and I mean, so many other things that are growing right now. It's absolutely insane. So I encourage you guys also to take your diet, whatever diet it is, to the next level by growing your own food, because you could have access to foods that literally money can't buy, and also, of course, higher quality food. In any case, let's go ahead and get into this published study today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into a study in the journal Molecules, and it's pharmacological activities of soursop. And we're going to read parts of it. And if we go down the abstract, it simply says, Soursop as a plant belongs to the Annanaceae family that has been widely used globally as a traditional medicine for many diseases. In this review, we discuss the traditional use, chemical content, and pharmacological activities of A. muricata, which is the Latin name. From 49 articles that were obtained from 1981 to 2021, A. muricata's activities were shown to include anti-cancer, 25%, anti-ulcer, 17%, anti-diabetic, 14% anti-protozoal, 10% anti-diarrheal, 8% antibacterial, 8% antiviral, 8% anti-hypertensive, 6%, and wound healing, 4%. Several biological activities and the general mechanisms underlying the effects of A. muricata have been tested in both vitro and in vivo. A. muricata contains chemicals such as acetogens, anomyricins, and anoacin alkaloids, cortexamine and reticulin, and flavonoids, quercetin, and vitamins, which are predicted to be responsible for the biological activity of A. muricata. So basically, what are they saying? They're saying that Soursop has been shown in studies to be, yes, it is anti-cancer, and that there are many different properties in the Soursop. Now, they are not just referring to only the fruit, right? So let's go down a bit further. And it says different parts of A. muricata have different activities. The seeds combat parasitic infections. The fruit is used for treatment of arthritis, nervous disorders, and diarrhea. The leaves are used to treat cystitis, headaches, insomnia, and cancer. The main active components of A. muricata are acetogens, alkaloids, and flavonoids. Analysis of the compounds in A. muricata leaf extract revealed secondary metabolites such as flavonoids, terpenoids, saponins, coumarins, lactones, anthraquinones, glycosides, tannins, and phytosterols. You guys can see this is basically the fruit on there, and the leaves, and the flower petals. And it says A. muricata has been widely used to treat many disorders such as parasitic infections, inflammation, diabetes, and cancer. All parts of A. muricata are used in traditional medicine by people who lived in tropical areas, with the leaves, stem, bark, roots, and seeds primarily used as medicinal ingredients. A. muricata leaves are used to treat headaches, insomnia, cystitis, and cancer. The seeds used to treat parasitic infections, and the fruit is used to treat diarrhea, neuralgia, eliminate worms and parasites, increase milk production in lactating women, and reduce fever. So as you guys can see, traditionally, right, medicine peoples use the leaves, stem, bark, roots, and seeds. They don't mention the fruit. Yes, fruit has also been used, but in my opinion, it basically plays a lesser part in some of the medicinal uses, as we will learn why in just a second. And this is why it's very important not just to say, I'm only eating a fruit, because when you eat the fruit, that's great. You eat a certain part of the plant. You're getting certain nutrients in that part of the plant, but you're missing nutrients and substances from the other parts of the plant. All right, so let's go ahead down. We could go past this traditional uses where they basically tell what parts of the plant's been used, but I would really want to go to the pharmacological activities of A. muricata. And as you guys can see, the plant parts, fruit, stems, seeds, and twigs, leaves, twigs, and roots inhibit basically MMP2, MMP-9, which play an important role in cancer progression, disrupt MMP function in leukemia. And then the leaf induces apoptosis in colorectal cancer. The leaf also is, it looks like it's something, breast cancer, induces apoptosis in breast cancer, induces human prostate cancer, inhibits proliferation of prostate cancer cells. So you guys can see, right, the leaf active in these, the fruit, stem, seeds, and twigs active in these, but the seeds, right, are endometrial cancer. The leaf is good for gastric wall damage. The fruit inhibits intestinal motility and secretions. The leaf is anti-protozoal. The seeds, anti-protozoal. The bark and roots are anti-protozoal against, certain protozoa. The fruit inhibits amyloids and glucose, enzymes. The leaf decreases lipid peroxidation. The leaf attacks bacterial membrane. Fruit and leaves inhibits antisterin converting enzymes and blocking calcium ion channels. Nonetheless, you can see some of the different Pharmacological activities: anti-cancer, anti-allergy, anti-diarrheal, anti-protozoal, anti-diabetic, antibacterial, anti-hypertensive. And no one part of the plant was necessarily more beneficial than the other overall, but every part of the plant played a role because every part of the plant has different plant phytonutrients or phytochemicals that the plant produces for itself. And then when we take those in, they can confer different benefits upon us, right? And once again, if you're eating only the fruit is indicated in some anti-cancer, indicated in some anti-protozoal, but you're not going to get the anti-ulcer, the anti-bacterial in there as well. And also, of course, some anti-cancer, properties were from the leaf and not necessarily the fruit. So why is this? So we could go down and they have all the different chemicals, phytochemicals that are identified in the soursop. And then we could get down to this one, table 2, phytochemical properties of the A. mercata. So this basically will go over every single compound that has been identified, and there are still unidentified compounds in this plant. And we could go down all these and read them. I can't ever pronounce half these, but basically, endometrial is in the leaf, root, stem, and bark. It's an alkaloid. Acimolybine is only in the fruit. It's an alkaloid. And I want to stop right here. There's a lot of alkaloids here in the fruit, in the leaf, in the fruit, in the stem, only in the root, in the bark, in the leaf, root, stem, and bark, in the leaf. And here's the thing. Some people on a fruit-based diet will say you should avoid all fruits that contain alkaloids. So in that case, you would probably want to avoid the soursop because as it says right here, it contains alkaloids. So some people on a fruit-based diet avoid things like cacao because the alkaloids are toxic and we shouldn't eat alkaloids. But there's these small amounts of alkaloids in even the fruit and probably concentrated a lot more in some of the other parts of the plants. As you guys could see, a lot of the alkaloids are actually having to be in the leaf itself. And that's because the tree does not want bugs to eat the leaves, because if the leaves are getting eaten, then the leaves can't photosynthesize, can't produce sugars to send down to the roots to then cause the tree to have energy to actually produce the fruits, right? And of course, there are alkaloids in the fruits itself. And if we keep going down further, you'll see, now there's acetogenins. And so this is the property based on my research that is most reliably, the reason for its anti-cancer benefit. And if we look at the acetogenins, basically this one acetogenin is in the fruit, but then if we go down, this one also is in the fruit or the pulp, but most of these are actually in the leaf or the seed, right? Here's another one, a few more with the pulp. But as you guys can see, mostly the seed and the leaf has the most acetogenin, which can be anti-cancer according to studies. And yeah, there still are a bunch with the pulp, but you're literally missing out on a lot of the different compounds. And what if your cancer you're fighting, you may need a certain one of these acetogenins that happens to be in the seed or the leaf, but then now, because of a raw food influencer is telling you, hey, just eat the fruit or juice the fruit to get the anti-cancer benefits, you're going to miss out on the cancer benefits you need because you're removing the seed before juicing, because the seed's probably going to destroy your juicer, right? And you're not eating the leaves, right? Because, hey, you're a fruitarian and we're not supposed to eat leaves, right? I don't know, that's up to you. I'm just telling you guys the science. And you guys can see now there's flavonoids. And, while there's flavonoids in the fruit pulp, which is great, there's also a lot of flavonoids in the leaves. We should not discount leaves of plants. That's why I say eat your leafy greens. My recommendation to you, and what I do, is to eat 2 pounds of leafy greens a day. Usually 1 pound of that is usually in the form of lettuce juice, along with mixed kale and cabbage juice that I drink in a juice format, and then I eat another pound of greens, whether raw in salads, in raw soups, or even in my heat processed vegetable dishes these days. So you guys can see we got some vitamins as well, which is in the pulp and leaf, seed, and pulp. And we got I don't even know what the heck these are. These are megastenomanes, and they're only in the leaf, right? And then we got the cyclopeptides only in the seed. So once again, if you are basically being prejudiced towards foods and, for example, fruit's the best. I don't need to eat the leaves. I'm not even going to eat any leaves. I mean, other leaves besides annona leaves contain many different benefits. Actually, some leaves in my garden, some nangak, I don't know, some new vegetable I'm eating that I'm growing this year actually has enzymes that'll actually dissolve fibrin, so like blood clots, for example. So instead of taking like nattokinase or serpentase, which is actually from a silkworm enzymes, you could just eat this leafy green, right? I really want to encourage you guys, right? Eat all the different parts of plants. And there are many fruit trees with edible leaves that you can turn into tea. I eat baby fig leaves off my tree. I eat baby noni leaves off my tree, right? Of course, do your own research to find out what is edible, what is not. And of course, to a lesser extent, you could make teas out of these things. You could just pick the baby leaves, add them to your salads. You could also, to some lesser extent, even juice them if you feel comfortable concentrating some of these compounds from the leaves into a juice, and get those into you as well. So we're going to go down to the anti-cancer activities of the soursop. Right, so going down to the anti-cancer benefits, once again, different parts of the plants can be effective against different kinds of cancer. I mean, this one part says fruit, stems, and seeds and twigs were basically fought human leukemia cell lines. But if we go down a bit further, the leaf extract induce apoptosis in colorectal cells. I mean, we discussed this in the table above, but once again, each of these different phytochemicals, in many cases alkaloids, may be effective at different kinds of cancers. Next thing I want to say real quick is that if you guys have any kind of cancer, any kind of healthy condition, please see a medical doctor. Don't listen to some kind of YouTuber, me or otherwise, basically sharing their thoughts. Of course, I like to share with you guys the published science. Nonetheless, we should definitely, go to somebody trained in this kind of stuff and not just listen to people talking stuff on the internet. Right, next area of this study is the pharmacological activities anti-cancer. So I want to go down to table 3 right here. And table 3 basically shows what parts of the plants were good against, what cancer line. So leaf, twig, and root, right, were good against leukemia. Leaf was good for lung cancer. Leaf was good for breast cancer. Leaf was good for prostate cancer. Leaves were good for colon cancer, and the seeds were good against endometrial cancer. So actually, there's no fruit listed in here, just the leaves, twigs, and roots. In many cases, it's mostly the leaves, but let's not forget about the seeds. And here's the thing: anti-ulcer. So A. mercata contains high level of flavonoids, tannins, and phenolonic acids, which possess therapeutic effects due to the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and gastroprotective properties. So reveal that leaves and bark are popular to make a tea to treat gastrointestinal problems. So they're using the leaves, not even the fruit, right? We go down to anti-diarrheal, and it says the bark and fruit are widely used by West Africans to treat diarrhea, and their anti-diarrhea effects have been reported. Anti-diabetic. Fruit extracts were reported to exert antioxidants and anti-diabetic effects by inhibiting key enzymes relevant to type 2 diabetes, such as alpha amylase and alpha glucosidase in vitro. But then we go here is A. mercata seed oil also showed potential anti-diabetic activity against type 1 diabetes induced by streptozotocin. Anti-protozoal, several studies have been conducted to determine anti-protozoal of A. mercata. Study reported that A. mercata ethanol leaf extract showed anti-protozoal activity against Toxoplasma gondii. So this could have been good, when I was in Costa Rica and got potentially some protozoal infection or other parasites. Antiviral, and A. mercata extract has been reported to possess antiviral activity, for example, by interfering with the replication process of HIV In another study, ethanol extracts from the stem and bark, right? Stem and bark, not even the leaf, showed in vitro antiviral activity against herpes simplex virus. Oh, and the other thing I really want to discuss is toxicology. Definitely eating fruit. It's unlikely you're gonna, get any kind of toxic effect from eating the fruit. If you start eating the seeds, that does change. And of course, here's the thing, like every plant has some plant toxins in there. Whether you want to believe plant toxins are bad and we should completely avoid them, right? Like people on a carnivore diet would like you to believe. I personally do not believe that. I believe that human beings, as well as other creatures on the planet, have evolved with plants at the same time, and we, especially as people, have built up immune systems and a microbiome so that we could handle a percentage of plant toxins if it's not outside the norm of our traditional diets. So we could handle eating small amounts of seeds or seed extracts or small amounts of leaves and leaves extracts so we could get those beneficial medical properties, pharmaceutical properties as shown in this study, but not overdo it, because more is not always better. So nonetheless, there's a big toxicology section, and when you start concentrating some of the different alkaloids from the leaves or the seeds, you may run into problems. So definitely it's important to be smart about these things and not go overboard thinking if a little bit is good, a lot is better. Right? Once again, consult an herbalist that knows about these things if you decide to go on some kind of, soursop leaf or seed extract program. So we're going to get out of the conclusion. A. mercata soursop is widely used as a traditional medicine. Parts of the A. mercata plant, such as the leaves, fruit, seeds, bark, and roots, have pharmaceuticological properties. Meanwhile, from 35 reference articles, 101 single compounds of A. mercata were reported. The main active compounds in A. mercata are cetogenins, 49% alkaloids, 26% flavonoids, 19% and others, 6%, which are reported to be responsible for the pharmacological activities listed. So you guys can see some of the pharmacological activities: anti-cancer, anti-ulcer, anti-diarrhea, anti-diabetic, anti-protozoal, antibacterial, antiviral, anti-hypertensive, and wound healing. So what did you guys learn in this episode? Well, basically, I really want to shed some light on that we should not eat only fruit alone, and that we should expand our diet, especially if you're wanting some of the specific health benefits from fruits. I believe it is on some level almost criminal for some raw vegans to promote, soursop fruit juice as an anti-cancer, when yes, on some levels, concentrating some of the nutrients in the fruit pulp without even the seed can be anti-cancer. But I believe a person will be much better helped by, maybe juicing the fruit with the leaves, or just blending the leaves with some of the fruit and blending up some of the seeds of the fruit as well. Vacuum blending, of course, you're keeping all the fiber, when consuming it, and not just going to get a big sugar hit, which may have other repercussions as to cancer and other diseases in your body when you are removing the fiber with your fruits. Another very important point to me is that I want you guys not to discriminate against different parts of plant foods. In the raw food community, my personal opinion is that it is elevated that fruit is God and that it's the best part of the plants. And yet a lot of people on a raw vegan diet forget about other parts of the plants, like the leaves, like the stems, like the roots, like the bark. I mean, sometimes I'll even eat the inner flesh of the stems. I could think of the borage plant, where I basically just eat the inner stem of the plant, and it just tastes amazing. Really nice, watery, rich flavor. Sure, there's lots of different phytonutrients and phytochemicals in there. And especially as somebody who gardens, I get to eat all the different parts of the plant that I choose. I mean, I looked up a study on rosemary, and I mean, you think, oh, if you eat the rosemary, you get only certain nutrients if you eat the young baby tender rosemary leaves, which normally I add to soups and salads. But if I juice them, then I juice the mature little leaves, and then I'll even juice some of the stems, because all those different areas of the plant have different nutrients, and that's what I really want you guys to focus on. If you guys are living on a whole food plant-based diet, right, I want you guys not to neglect other parts of the plants. And to do this, you pretty much got to go out and wild forage or grow your own. And if you are eating fruits for its benefits, I would encourage you guys to look into eating other parts of the fruit tree if possible. And of course, don't exclude your leafy greens. Roots, stems, they all contain different nutrients than the fruits alone. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode learning about my opinions as well as the published science on soursop, and this is just one example. I mean, we could do the same thing with mango. Mango leaves have been quite beneficial. We could do this with like most fruits, I mean, I eat the flowers off my feijoa trees, right? There's so many different edible parts of fruit trees, and of course, most people only eat the fruit. So I really want to encourage you guys to branch out and eat more than just the fruit on your fruit-based or raw vegan diet. Eat more greens, eat more stems, eat more roots is my main message I would love to share with you guys today. And hopefully, at least a few of you guys will start eating more plant parts, because they're all good. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also be sure to share this with other people on a raw vegan diet, especially people that believe fruit is God and it's the only thing we need, and soursop fruit is anti-cancer. They could see some of the published studies and learn, hey, what parts are actually anti-cancer. And it really depends on the specific cancer and the specific plant part, because they all contain different phytochemicals. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new upcoming episodes I've coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up, what you'll be learning, what new knowledge bombs I'll be dropping on you, or what wisdom I'll be sharing with you. I don't want you guys to miss any single episode, so make sure you click the bell so you get notified as many videos found. And finally, be sure to check past episodes. Past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 800 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to you guys all about how to eat a whole food, plant-based, fruit and vegetable dominated diet, minimally processed as possible. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.